Welcome to another episode of PCN Life, stories and profiles from the South Shore. Tonight we have on Leslie Cutler with her Mindful Moments segment and information on ways to uncomplicate your relationships.
Save the Date brings us Valentine events going on in our four towns and something for all ages.
We begin with a profile story of a local Plymouth resident and owner of Serious Cycles. Just about all of us have had some form of collection in our lives that we took great pride in creating. We may have even obsessed over them at the time. Maybe it was stamps, dolls, baseball cards, autographs, or even coffee cups from diners across the country. You get the picture.
I sure do. But what about collecting antique Pepsi and Coke machines? Sounds slightly unusual? Not if you're Seth Lawrence or the many others around the country with the same passion for collecting these relics from a bygone era.
Folks around Plymouth know Seth as the guy that owns Serious Cycles over in Manomet.
But we were invited to his home to meet his collector side and check out his impressive collection.
Come on down. This is where it all begins. I grew up here in Plymouth, right down in Manomet. Lived here pretty much my whole entire life. Know, bunch of people in town and, own Serious Cycles in Plymouth and just love collecting stuff. So I have since I was a little kid. Collecting started at a young age. I used to collect stamps, first day covers. I used to visit the post office a lot. Got my first job shoveling snow with the post office, and just collecting's in my blood. So it kind of continued from there. At 13, I collected my first bottle, which is really where it all started from. Just my first Pepsi bottle, and just kind of continued from there. Years after into machines, signs, pretty much anything. Some of the stuff is very valuable. A lot of people don't realize that, or it just might not be valuable, but it has a significant history of some sort. For instance, I didn't even know that there was a Pepsi Cola bottling plant here in Plymouth, downtown Plymouth by the fire station. I didn't actually find that out until I had found a calendar that I have in my collection now that had Plymouth, Mass with the actual address of the bottling plant. And I was quite amazed to find out that, it was here in this town, and a lot of people just don't know a lot of that history. It gets lost, and it's just nice to find out. Getting started, it usually starts out with pretty much the basics. A simple bottle, a sign, something along those lines. It kind of continues to, your taste kind of grows as time goes on. I like to collect a lot of the rare stuff at this point, but when I first started collecting, it was pretty much anything that said Coca-Cola, anything that said Pepsi. People would say, they come in the shop with it and say, oh, do you want this? Oh, yeah, absolutely, And as you get into the collecting a little bit more, you find out a little bit more about each piece and, why they have a, particular significance or value or something like that. There's a mix of different things. From the pinball that my, sons love, they like to play that, to Super Checks hockey, pretty much any coin-operated type of games, a little bit older style. Retro, I don't know what intrigues me. Whether it's the mechanics of it, how it works, how it was made, the overall quality of it back then was just so much better than it is today. You could take something that's 50 years old, lube it up a little bit, and it still works. That's incredible. The siphon mix is definitely my favorite machine of all time, and my sons are over here pointing to it because they know that as well. So this is 1924 automatic soda fountain. It's a Coca-Cola. It's the only one that exists, or at least that's been found in the world. So it's a rare bird. It's nickel operated. You basically put your nickel in, crank the handle over. It actually counted how many times it was used. It would drop the cup down, mix the Coca-Cola, and drop it into the cup. So that's a very early piece. The candy machine I love. The kids come down here, they'll put their nickel in and get a candy bar out like it was 1950. They enjoy it. Of course they want to come down here and raid my candy machine all the time. Grab a bottle of soda or something like that. But I picked that up. I went through the mechanics of it. I got it functioning when it wasn't. So those type of things are something that excites me. It is an addiction. And I limit myself to Coca-Cola and Pepsi because it really is endless. If you start getting into Dr. Pepper collecting and different things like that, you can fill garages, which I've seen some of my friends that are collectors over the United States have some amazing collections and huge barns full. I try to limit myself to more of the rare pieces, a little bit harder to find, not your everyday common type of stuff. It's really family and friends, but I'm open to, any collectors that want to check it out. I mean, this is what it's about. I go, visit across the country, a lot of people that have collections like this, and I can appreciate what they have. And, that's kind of how sometimes you do a little bartering and get yourself a new piece as well. So it's nice to meet some new people.
Welcome to another episode of Mindful Moments with our licensed psychotherapist, Leslie Cutler.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Leslie, for once again imparting your wisdom upon us.
Well, it's wonderful to be here today. Thank you so much.
It's good to have you. Today we're going to talk about uncomplicating relationships. What does that mean?
It's interesting because when I was new in the relationship world, I remember saying to a good friend of mine, how do you go about finding the right partner? And she gave me some advice that has been crucial for me. And she said, you need to concentrate on being the right partner first. You need to look deep inside and ask yourself some honest questions, such as, do I really like who I am? Mm-hmm. Do I like the decisions that I'm making? Am I happy with where I am in my life? And when you get to that place, the right partner will come to you. See, I had always thought that, hey, if you get into the right relationship, you can kind of always work on those things later.
Right.
But it doesn't exactly work that way. We need to be our best versions of ourselves in order to attract the right person, and in order to attract that person that's going to be perfect for us.
Does that mean that you can't gain anything from another person? I mean, you still can get some things, but you're saying that you need to start with a really centered self.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly, Julie. You nailed it. And, I do think we learn most about ourselves within the context of relationships.
Right.
But going in with a solid base is absolutely crucial and critical.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about the 5 ways to uncomplicate our relationships.
Okay. So I will read number 1, which is, stop looking to others for the love and respect only you can give yourself.
Yes. There's a reason why the words such as self-respect, self-worth, self-love all start with the word self, because they can only come from us, and they cannot come from anywhere else. It's just interesting. We need to know that we love ourselves, that we respect ourselves, that we're where we need to be. And once you can look at this and be able to answer these questions honestly, you are absolutely on the right path. So not look for them outside of ourselves, but within ourselves first.
So, and what you said right from the beginning is it all starts with the image of ourselves and the centering of ourselves and almost the definition of ourselves.
And the real honest look. To be able to go deep and to sit with that and say, there might be a few things that I need to tweak a little bit or work on or bring, make as goals for myself to bring myself to the next level.
Is it us that determines what we need to work on, or is it others that point that out in us?
Sometimes it's feedback from others saying to us, we keep arriving at this place again and again in this dynamic. Let's each look at it and see which piece of this is ours to hold.
Gotcha. Okay, number 2.
Number 2, start using your voice to lift yourselves and to lift others up. So we live in this very, very self-serving world that at times seems to be filled with a tremendous amount of negativity. So it's very, very important to differentiate ourselves by encouraging those that we really love. We need to be the voice that are going to encourage those in our world to want to achieve their dreams, to make them feel like they're loved and they're appreciated and they're honored in all things. And this is crucial to do because, again, you get surrounded by this negativity and it's easy to fall into that dark place as well. But really just encouraging each other, letting them know that, we love them and, not just love them, but having the actions to back that up as well in all things, to be able to be kind of their greatest cheerleader.
Right. At the same time, we are being our own greatest cheerleader.
And crucial. Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
Because that's something that we tend to slip back out of all the time.
Yeah, somehow it's easy to forget ourselves in that equation.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so number 3 is start communicating clearly. And this we all can work on.
Yeah, and you know, Julie, I feel like we talk about this every time that we're together because it is so crucial.
Yep.
And there really are so few relationships out there that run smoothly and aren't toxic. And you know, I think we've all been guilty of this at times. So I think what happens is, you know, we push down what it is that we're feeling, and we push it down and we push it down because we're so fearful of what the other person's reaction and response might be. And then all of a sudden we explode, and the person's like, whoa, 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 what just happened here? So this is absolutely crucial in all things.
Now, let me ask you something. When you say communicating clearly, to different people, you have to sometimes clarify and confirm what you've said many times before they really understand what you've said. And other people get it the first time. How do you differentiate when you need to make sure that you have been heard, exactly what you said was heard the way you wanted it to be heard?
Well, that's such a great question, because I think so often when we speak, the person that we're speaking to are kind of lost in their own head.
Right.
And
they're not
busy
thinking about what we're saying.
Yeah, well, they're you know, either thinking about what they have to do, or they're too busy forming their argument or their reaction and their response.
Right.
So when we're speaking, if we're not paying attention to their body language, and we're not paying attention to them and sort of looking at them eye to eye, we might want to say, hey, are you understanding what I'm saying? You know, can we talk about it a little bit further?
Right.
Other people, like you said, you can tell are honestly and deeply, they have that wisdom and that knowledge. They're going to ask very thoughtful questions. They're going to follow up in such a way that you know that they're completely hearing you. And that is the ultimate goal.
Right.
Is to reach that place where, you know, we're not just, you know, hearing, but we're truly, truly listening and acting upon those things.
It's almost the way we have to communicate with our children when they're young, making sure that they really, and you almost make, so what did mommy just say to you?
Yes.
Did you really understand it? And obviously we don't talk to adults that way, but you almost have to use the same tactics.
Yes, absolutely, that's very true. And I do that often in my house, let me tell you.
I did too.
So number 4 is to stop judging. And
this is a tough one.
This is a real tough one. And, you know, sometimes we don't even realize we're doing this. But the more we judge, the less we love. Yeah. And, you know, I do think that a person's smile can hide a lot of pain. We don't know what kind of trauma a person has been through. No matter how much we try to emphasize with them, we do not understand the path that they've walked.
Right.
So, you know, in all things, that people have their reasons for responding in whatever way. But really, cut people some slack. You know, it's just so toxic to start judging or making assumptions about people, because in time, those assumptions become our truth, whether or not they are based on truth.
And how in this really rather toxic atmosphere that we have in our news media these days, not blaming anyone, just saying that that's kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
How do we not get caught up in that realm of judging when you you try so hard to listen to both sides and to understand both sides, but I think being a human being, you tend to gravitate to a side or a position that you thoroughly believe in. And how do you take that and yet still not judge those who feel exactly the opposite?
Well, that's always quite a challenge. You know, it's one thing to disagree.
Right.
It's another to judge.
Right. Oh, that's true.
And, you know, you can have, you know, obviously we're all going to disagree with different political individuals based upon where we come from and what our history is. But, you know, it's kind of what we do with that information that's crucial.
Okay, so keep calm and don't judge. Okay.
Right.
And number 5, we have start living with 100% integrity. And that's a word that we don't hear much anymore.
You know, it's not a word that's frequently talked about.
No, it isn't.
But it's so, so crucial. And, you know, don't cheat. Be faithful. Be kind. It's really hard to untangle all that once the grounds of trust have been removed from a relationship. You know, the definition of integrity is basically, you know, what you choose to do in those moments when nobody's watching you.
Right.
You know, who are we? What is it that we stand for? These are the things that we need to hold to and honor in all things, no matter the circumstance, no matter how ugly it is.
Right.
You know, sometimes we're like, oh, I'm just going to kind of go along with the crowd because my feeling is so different and I don't want to create a... No. Really, that just makes our lives so much more complicated when we start, you know, kind of covering our tracks and, you know, pulling back, because that truth always comes to the surface in time.
Right. My mother always used to say, live your life as clear as glass.
Ooh,
Yeah,
very
because
good
she,
advice.
she's right. Because whatever you do, no matter what you do or how you say things, or there's always a price for everything that is done or said,
And
one
that's
way or
so
another.
True. That's so true. And it's a crucial piece of who we can become.
Right.
To live honestly, to live authentically,
Right.
and really again attract what it is that we want in our lives.
Right. By living it.
By living it.
Well, this has been wonderful. We've had you've talked about relationships before, but the specific steps that you give us, if we do them and if we practice them, and again, we talk about this every time there's something that you bring on board, we have to practice it.
Yes.
It's not something that just comes naturally all the time.
Yes.
So thank you, and we thank Leslie for joining us, and
Thank
we will
you.
have her again back real soon for another episode of Mindful Moments.
Thank you.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to Save the Date February. Well, love is in the air. It's the right time to start thinking about Valentine's Day. We have selected a few festive activities you may want to mark in your calendar. On Saturday, February 11th, from 5:30 to 9 p.m., Plymouth Cinema, housed in Plymouth Plantation's Henry Hornblower II Visitor Center, will be holding a special event for you and your special someone. It's dinner and a movie. The tickets include a sit-down dinner and cinema tickets. Cash bar is available. For more information about tickets, go to www.plymouth.org. If music is the food of love, play on. The South Shore Conservatory will be holding In Matters of Love, a free concert of love songs featuring many of the conservatory's talented instructors. The Conservatory Concert Series is an effort to expand access to the arts and education and performance, and to the community. In Matters of Love will be held at the Conservatory's Duxbury location, 64 St. George Street, on February 12th at 4 p.m. And don't forget your Valentine's cards. The homemade ones they count more. The Kingston Library will be holding a Valentine's Day card craft event from 3 to 5 p.m. in the Children's Craft Room on February 13th, just in time for Valentine's Day. There's plenty of glitter for everyone. And last but certainly not least, the Pembroke Library's movie discussion group will be discussing one of my all-time favorite chick flicks, or rather, should I say, romantic comedies, Sleepless in Seattle. Copies are available at the main desk on a first-come, first-served basis to be watched ahead of the discussion. The discussion will take place February 15th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. So I hope you're feeling the love. We will have more Save the Dates next month. Until then, I'm Marian Bates with Life's Save the Date.
Thanks for watching. Check out PACTV.org for information about the show and how you can submit a story idea.
You can also get to PACTV's Prime channel from there and watch us all over again.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for updates and previews. See you in 2 weeks with a new episode of Life. But PCN is back next Thursday with all new stories from the South Shore.